What's up, everyone? I'm Arkansas Storm Team Meteorologist Alex Libby, and in this weather blog, we are talking about why tornado season is in the spring. Here in Arkansas, we can have tornadoes any month of the year, but they are by far most common in the months of March, April, and May during the springtime months. And in order to know why we see the most tornadoes in spring, we need to know what we need for a tornado to form. And we need three things. We need a lot of storm fuel, a lot of heat, a lot of humidity. We need a lot of wind shear, so a lot of strong winds at low levels and strong winds at mid and upper levels as well. And lastly, we need a lifting mechanism, something that will move through, lift up all that fuel, put it into where the wind shear is, and cause rotating supercell thunderstorms that are capable of dropping a tornado. So let's talk about why spring is when we see all those three ingredients line up the most common, the most frequent. So first of all, the jet stream. That's very important for several reasons. Jet stream is what those low pressure systems and cold fronts ride along. Those low pressure systems and cold fronts, those are the lifting mechanisms needed to cause severe weather that can produce tornadoes. And in the spring, we typically see the jet stream in this wavy pattern over parts of the southern United States, parts of Arkansas, directly over us. So the jet stream not only brings those low pressure systems over the state, they also cause upper level wind shear, strong upper level winds. And the reason why the jet stream is most favorable for being stronger and over Arkansas this time of year in the spring is because of the large temperature gradient. The temperatures in the tropics are heating up quickly as the days are getting longer, as the sun is getting stronger, but there's still a lot of cold air packed up in the North Pole during the spring, and that large temperature gradient leads to a stronger, more powerful jet stream, which leads to more stronger and more powerful storms that ride along it. So that's the first thing, the jet stream. Very important. It brings the low pressure systems and cold fronts, the lifting mechanism, and it brings the wind shear, the upper level wind shear to be exact. So next, what we see, what happens during a severe weather day or a tornado outbreak, is we see one of those low pressure systems riding along the jet stream. And before it gets into Texas and Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, it brings a warm front through. And the counterclockwise winds around that area of low pressure cause a lot of warm and humid air to be lifted out of the Gulf of Mexico into the southern states, into Arkansas. And that is the fuel. That's number two. That's ingredient number two, the fuel needed for strong thunderstorms. And that's what we see typically when we have a severe weather outbreak or tornado outbreak, that warm flow a couple days prior to the event. And the event itself, it gets set off by one of those lifting mechanisms, the low pressure system, the cold front, mainly cold front or dry line, will lift up all that warm and humid air, launching it into the atmosphere, into areas where we have a lot of wind shear. We have the low level wind shear with those strong southerly winds, and we have the upper level wind shear with the jet stream. So those three ingredients line up most commonly in the spring across Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Oklahoma. And then as we head later into summer, the jet stream actually will rise further up. So that's when severe weather season is most likely in Kansas and Nebraska. Minnesota isn't usually until July. So that's when their tornado season is most common, is later in summer. But here in Arkansas, it is typically in those spring months of March, April, in May. Hopefully you learned a little bit of something. I know it's very common. Where do tornadoes form? Well, it's when the cold air and the warm air mix, which is kind of true. As a cold front's moving through, it has cold air behind it. It's funneling all that warm air up into the atmosphere, fueling those thunderstorms and creating those tornadic thunderstorms. So that is why we typically see the most tornadoes in the spring here in Arkansas.